Okay, welcome to Test Drive from IxChariot. In just about 5 minutes, you can try IxChariot with just the browser and see its benefits immediately. Now, to get started, let's look at your need to know. The test drive itself is composed of a web console manager. This is where you log in from a browser, you create your traffic scenarios, you run the test, and see the results in real time. Now, with it comes performance endpoints, which are software agents that the web console manages. It's the one that's responsible for generating and reporting quality metrics. There are two types of endpoints in general, those that can be deployed in a public cloud and ones that you can roll on your own, what we call private endpoints on your local area network. Now, by default, there are two cloud endpoints that we spin up that are available in your test drive automatically. And the private endpoints are those that you can download and install in your own local area network. And there is a link in the Getting Started guide that advises you on where to download these endpoints, which are free. They are available for Windows, Mac, Linux. If you happen to have a Raspberry Pi 2 device, you can run them on that as well. Now, for those interested in running an endpoint on an Android device, yes, we have that. You can look for the word endpoint in the Google Play Store. For your Apple devices, go to the App Store and look for the word endpoint and install that as well. Now, what are some of the things that you can test once you're set up? Now, we'll go through a few of them here, but more can be done depending on the scenarios you create. The very first one is going to be cloud infrastructure. Here you can start with two public endpoints and see how fast the performances are between the two endpoints in a cloud infrastructure. You might want to do this if you're looking to do VM to VM testing, for instance. The other one's WAN connectivity. Here you can roll your own performance endpoints on a PC or Mac, create a scenario between the PC and one of the two cloud endpoints, and with this you can test your uplink and downlink speeds very quickly. LAN speed. Here you can roll two of your own performance endpoints on a PC or Mac or whatever have you, and measure any number of performance metrics upstream, downstream within your local area network. The difference here between WAN and LAN is that all traffic in the LAN tests are within your local area network and only the results are sent up to a public console. Voice over IP call quality. You want to have two of our endpoints installed on your local network on any of your devices. Create voice over IP call flows and measure MOS and see how your network impacts its quality. Simple mobile device performance. You could download a mobile endpoints for your Android and iOS powered smartphones, register to the console, and develop some speed tests to see how these devices perform via your AP infrastructure, your Wi-Fi access points. The other ones people very frequently test are looking at how fast your access points can run traffic with a variety of different devices. So here you can use any of your performance endpoints, either on PC or Mac or one of your smartphones. Create a scenario to load an AP and see how it performs with data, voice over IP, or any other traffic scenarios that we have. Now, just to get you familiarized with the test drive, I am going to walk you through actually logging into the web browser, creating a test, on a cloud infrastructure. So, in a nutshell, we're going to browse to a website. We're going to create a concept called a flow group, which actually defines essentially the topology you want to run your traffic on. You'll create a few traffic flows within it. We're going to start with the TCP baseline. I'm going to run some tests and look at results in real time. So here we go. What you're seeing up on the screen is when your test drive has initiated, there'll be a environment output, which I'll maximize so you can have a quick look. There's a URL that'll be presented to you with a login and password, user1 demo1. I am going to copy this shortcut and open it up in Internet Explorer. The very first thing you'll be prompted with is a certificate, and this is okay. You want to continue only because it's a self-signed certificate. So you'll be presented with a login for IxChariot, and clearly the username and password is actually outlined in the environment, user1 demo1. So here I am going to run a very quick test. So I'll log in, and we will not save any passwords, not for the site. Okay, once you're logged in, it's very sparse. You will start by creating a new session. Session is an instance of a test. The next step you will create for this quick walkthrough is a flow group. Flow group, you can think of this as a topology. Here you define which performance endpoints you're going to have within a test. Then you're going to define the type of traffic that you would like to initiate between the endpoints, the direction of traffic. Sometimes in a more complex scenario you can define the topology such as hub and spoke or full mesh or round robin. Once you've done some of these steps, you'll be actually ready to run a test. So the very first thing we've done is create a flow group, and just by way of walking through everything, let's call this VM to VM, and that's just a name. The next thing you will define is the nature of traffic you're going to run. So just as a quick overview, we have a number of different flows, if you will. Throughput, which define TCP UDP, Skype for business, a variety of different flows that define different scenarios that you might expect, voice over IP, where you can get mean opinion score, and a video codec including RTP for different definitions, as well as over-the-top SDHD. So you can have a look through this, but we're going to start with TCP baseline, sort of the one I would recommend you start with. And by the way, I'll edit this script with this little option here, and I want to show you this data rate. By default, the tests are going to run as fast as the network will allow. But if you wanted to rate limit these to your network, I suggest you closely look at the data rate parameter and, for example, type in 1 Mbps as an example. Okay, and hit enter and close. Now, for our demonstration, we're going to go back and we're going to do unlimited to see how fast things go. And users define essentially the number of flows on your network. So we're gonna make it let's say 2 flows, and we haven't actually added any endpoints yet, performance endpoints, the workhorse. To do that, I wanted to show you this option here called Manage Endpoints. Now, by default, you should expect to see 2 endpoints automatically appear with a status of green, meaning it's online, clearly articulated here. 2 endpoints, all online. These are by default in our public cloud, so that's why it's detected as such. When you install your own endpoints, they'll appear as private, which can be changed, but typically we get it right 99% of the time. So let's simply add any one of those by double clicking it. Notice I hit the source icon here to pick one, and I can just double click that for the other one. So we have a very simple topology here: 1 source, 1 destination. It's going to run a baseline traffic. Really, I'm going to run this for a very short time, 15 seconds. Once you've done that, you'll hit start. And on the very bottom is where you'll start to see some of the logs for initiating the test. When it starts to run, the user interface switches itself to a statistics view. And by the way, this happens to be in our cloud infrastructure, so the performance is limited to a few hundred megabits per second. So you'll see very quickly we can come to a steady state performance, on average getting about 122. It was a very short test. It's finished. You can go back. You can scale up or scale down using the users setting. You can add background traffic with UDP or add voice over IP and so forth. So very quick. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of how to get into the interface and create a quick flow group test. Keep in mind, once you install an endpoint on your own local device, have it registered to the IP address of the console. In my case, 52.32.196.14. And once it registered successfully, you will see it appear under Manage Endpoints. So this would allow you to have a LAN to WAN test or LAN to LAN test very conveniently from the UI. If you wanted to save any configurations, there's a Save Config option. I encourage you to look at the UI a little bit further and get familiar with all the features that it has. Now with that, we'll switch back to some of the highlights here. Now, to get the most out of the test drive, as I mentioned, would like you to install your own private endpoints. This allows you to run a lot more tests in your local area network, which might be of interest to you. Be sure to register your private endpoints in the web console that I mentioned earlier. And I gave you a quick glimpse of our fault library that has data applications, voice over IP, Microsoft Skype, and over the top video. I encourage you to look at those so you can decide which ones are most pertinent for your modeling of tests and scenarios. And once again, be sure to review the Getting Started guide to get familiar with all the terms and concepts that we use in the product. Good luck, and thank you once again.